Okay, guys, welcome back to the Andrei Delic Podcast. New episode. So today is going to be a reality check, but it's going to be about culture, philosophy, politics, society, and everything that happened recently in the world. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So you guys probably saw all the protests, the No Kings protest against Donald J. Trump. For people who don't know, let me give you a bit of backstory from where all the No Kings protests came from. It existed for quite some time now, for hundreds and hundreds of years. But before, there was some logic to it, meaning that before there were kings and people were sick and tired of kings, which is logical and which is normal because they take away all of humans' freedom and all of their liberty. So of course, at that time, No Kings protests made sense. But now, with all this wokeism and all these people doing No Kings protests against Donald J. Trump, now that's kind of fucking crazy. First of all, Donald J. Trump, hate him all you want, despise him all you want. He's not a king. He's a president. He's the president of the United States. And he legally won. He didn't come into power by forcing his way into with violence and with physical power. He won the democratic way, meaning that people voted for him. He presented himself for a second term in the elections. People voted for him, and he won. So he won fair and square. If Donald Trump abuses his powers and breaks the law, they're going to punish him and he's going to get punished by the law. Because in America, a democratic country, no one is above the law. Not no Elon Musk, not no Donald Trump, not no Jeff Bezos, not no fucking whoever. No matter who you are in America, you're not above the law. On paper, of course, if you have more money, you have more money for better lawyers, and then you can maybe play the system a little bit. But like it or not, if there is a video of you, if there is a video, let's say there's a video of Donald J. Trump walking the fucking streets and putting a bullet in someone's head, I don't care what lawyer he has, I don't care what judge he faces, I don't care what jury of his selection he chooses, he's going to fucking jail. I don't care how powerful he is. I don't care if he's the president of the United States, he's going to jail. Because in America, no one is above the law. Yo, Matt, es-tu là? Combien de temps que j'ai fait? OK, parce que je viens de commencer ça, puis avant ça, je faisais soccer, puis j'ai arrêté pendant comme 1 minute. Fait que je pense que le premier va être comme 25 minutes, 26. Fait que ça, c'est juste de soccer. Fait qu'au pire, ça serait comme un épisode. Puis ça, live, ça serait juste comme du politique, de philosophie, peu importe. De soccer, ouais. Mais tu vas voir, j'ai laissé un bon 1 minute. Tu vas voir. Perfect. So like I said, guys, Donald J. Trump is a president. As powerful as he is, he does have power. And those powers that are attributed to him, they're attributed to him because he won fair and square the elections. And whoever wins those elections and becomes president, they also have that power. Barack Obama had the same power. Joe Biden had the same power. George Bush had the same power. George H.W. Bush had the same power. George W. Bush had the same power. Bill Clinton had the same power. And all these other presidents. Because that's what happens. When you win the presidency, you acquire the power that the presidency entitles you with. So people protesting Donald Trump with the No Kings protest, that's gay as hell. I ain't gonna lie, he's not a king. Before, those protests made sense. Before, when kings actually existed. Maybe nowadays, the No Kings protest would make sense in like Saudi Arabia because they still have a king. And that king isn't like the king in England, which is for symbolic reasons and for symbolic purposes. And he doesn't actually hold any judiciary or judicial power. Like in England, that is the case. But in Saudi Arabia, the king, what's his name, Bin Salman, or is that the prince? Whatever, the king and the prince, they have king power and king authority. Meaning that they can literally do whatever they want. They're basically like a dictator. And also, let's say the No Kings protest. Let's say it also goes for people who have absolute power like dictators. In Cuba, that would make sense because they still have a dictator. Now, this is going to be a touchy subject, but maybe also in Russia, it makes sense. Although, let me clarify, Putin, by law, is a president. On paper, he's a president. But he's the president of Russia. Russia is way more corrupt than, let's say, America or Canada or France. It's a fact. So, of course, although Putin is on paper a president, someone could argue that he's maybe, quote unquote, a dictator. Now, On paper, he isn't. But the way he runs shit, whenever there's a fucking journalist talking against him, he always ends up dead or missing somehow. That's kind of fucking crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Although no disrespect to Putin, he's highly intelligent, a highly competent person. But a no kings protest would make more sense in Russia. And also another side note, just another, let me explain to you guys how dumb you guys are for protesting against Donald Trump with no kings. If Donald Trump was truly a king or a dictator, you would never have the balls or the authority or the power or the freedom to go out and protest against him. Number one, just the fact that you're allowed to go out in the streets and protest against Donald Trump, just that proves to you that he's not a dictator and he's not a king. Why? Because if there is actually a dictator, believe me, not only are you legally not allowed to go out and protest against him, but you wouldn't have the balls to do it because you know that there's high chances of you getting fucking killed and getting thrown in jail. That's a fucking difference. When my parents lived in Yugoslavia, which was a socialist country with a dictator, Josip Broz Tito, they did live very comfortably, but it was a known fact that you're not allowed to critique the government and you're not allowed to be in opposition to the government or go against the government. Why? Because you're going to get thrown in jail. That's what's going to happen. That's what a dictatorship is. Believe me, go in the streets of Russia and start protesting against Vladimir Putin. First of all, not only won't you do it, because you know that legally, maybe not legally, it's not written on paper, but you know in a way that you're not allowed. And second of all, you're not going to have the balls to do it because you know that Vladimir Putin doesn't fuck around. He stands on fucking business, quote unquote. But Donald J. Trump, just the fact that you have the right, and just the fact that you're not afraid to go out in the streets and protest against Donald Trump, call him whatever kind of names, call him whatever, and nothing happens to you, just that proves that Donald J. Trump isn't a king and he's not a dictator, but that he's simply a president. And if I might add, a lawfully elected democratic president in a free and democratic country like the United States of America. That's a fact. No matter what, never ever badmouth your parents. Never. Just the fact that your parents gave you life, that's more than enough. Just the fact that they gave you life, already there you should never badmouth them. It's a proven fact by many philosophers and by many social scientists, by many big thinkers, that whenever you badmouth your parents, you're badmouthing the universe and you're badmouthing yourself and you're putting yourself steps backwards instead of moving steps further in your trajectory for your final destiny. Never ever badmouth the parents who created you, who gave you life. Never ever. It will take away your energy, it will take away your time, and it will simply not allow you to become the best version of yourself, and it won't allow you to become who you're meant and who you're destined to become, who God wants you to become. Whenever you badmouth your parents, it's always going to be bad things. It's never going to be good. I understand some people had it really rough and really tough with their parents. I understand it. Not everyone had a loving home with their parents. Not everyone has a good relationship with their parents. I understand that. But the fact remains is that you should always be able to look at the bigger picture and never badmouth your parents. Because whenever you badmouth your parents, it's all negative. You're bringing negative energy in your life. And this also goes for that you should never ever badmouth anyone. There's a difference between badmouthing people and just saying it how it is. You're allowed to say that you don't like Donald Trump's politics. Example, you're allowed to say that you don't like someone's politics because you don't agree with it and you don't find it smart, or you don't think that is the correct theory to have, or that is the correct solution to a problem. That's okay. And that's actually, not only is it okay, it's actually good, because that's what democracy is all about. It's about making society better through discussions and through argumentation. That's what democracy is. And God loves that. And the universe loves when you go against what is evil and what you believe to be the right path. God loves that. But simply talking behind people's back because you love drama, because you're a drama queen, there's a huge difference between those two. Huge difference. One is simply saying what needs to be said, stating what you believe to be true, and believing what you believe to be true, and then having discussions and argumenting with people. And then the other one is simply having hate in your heart, hating on people, hating on things without any rationality, without any logic, simply with emotions and just by having hate in your heart. Huge difference between those two. The difference of energy and of vibrations is way, way different. This is positive, enforcing, and powerful energy, while the other one, which is bad-mouthing people, is negative and is weak energy. That is a fact. The best way to develop self-confidence. From my experience, from what I saw, from what I read, from what I learned, from what I heard also, the best way to develop self-confidence is by doing things that seem hard, is by facing your fears, and is by day in and day out proving to yourself that you're capable of doing great things. By doing small steps every single day, you prove to yourself that, oh, I'm actually capable of accomplishing great things. I'm actually capable of hitting my targets, hitting my goals. By doing that every single day, every single week, you become more and more and more and more confident. It piles up. It's all exponential. So you put in all the days become weeks, weeks become months, months become years, years become decades, and decades become a lifestyle, a lifetime. That's what happens. But in my opinion, the best way to develop self-confidence is by doing things you're afraid to do, facing your fears, doing hard things, never giving up, doing what you say you're going to do and not procrastinating and not doing it, but actually doing what you say you're going to do and doing the hard things. In my way, that's the best way to develop self-confidence. Let's say you're not confident when it comes to approaching a girl in the bar. Okay, so that's your case. The best way to become confident is by doing it. And the more you do it, the better you'll become. And the better you are, the more you'll close, quote unquote, the girl. So just by doing that more often than not, you'll become better. And then by becoming better, you'll be more competent. By being more competent, you'll become more confident. And by being more confident, you'll have a higher success rate of getting girls or approaching girls successfully in a bar. So you can start off as someone who has zero confidence when it comes to approaching girls in a bar. And then simply by doing it a couple of times, maybe the first times you're going to be bad at it. You're going to be all stressed out. You're not going to know what to say. You're maybe going to tumble in your words. Whatever, she's going to reject you, whatever. But by doing it more often than not, you'll become better and better. And also by facing more rejection, you'll become more numb to it. You just won't give a fuck anymore because you won't take it as personal anymore, because you'll realize that getting rejected that way, it's not that personal. And once it happens, you're like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. You know how they say, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen, she's going to say no. I mean, she's not going to slap the shit out of you, and maybe she's fucking crazy in the head and then she will. But in general, the worst that's going to happen is she's going to say no. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And the easier it becomes for you to face failure and to face rejection without being emotionally involved in it. And the more you're comfortable with facing rejection and the less you care about facing rejection, that is when you become more competent, more confident in approaching the girl. Because when you think about it, the reason that people are afraid of approaching girls is because they're afraid of getting rejected. If God was to somehow come on planet Earth and tell you, you know what? I'm telling you now for a fact, I'm the Almighty God. Every girl you approach, you're never going to get rejected. Well, you're never going to get scared. You're not going to be scared for the rest of your life to approach girls. Why? Because you know for a fact, God told you that you're never going to get rejected. So what is there to be afraid of? Nothing, right? The reason people in general, me, whoever, why we're afraid to approach women, of course, some people to a certain degree, some are more afraid, some are less. It's all about who has more experience, how many times did it, and who's just more competent or confident when it comes to that certain particular action. But the reason why people are afraid to approach women in bars is because they're afraid to face rejection and to face failure. They're afraid of getting rejected, which is normal, I understand. But the more rejection you face, the more you realize how powerless it actually is, and that you understand that it's a numbers game. Of course, now I'm going to talk about selling cars. Like Lucas said, you always talk about selling cars recently. But the more calls you make, the more rejection you face when it comes to closing cars by phone call or by in person, the more rejection you face, the less you give a fuck the more that you don't care, and the more that you realize that it's actually a numbers game. If I cold call, let's say we don't actually do cold calling, but let's say I work 10 leads, right? Let's say I have 10 leads and I work them to the max. Someone else has 5 leads and he works them to the max. I have more chances of closing more deals than the other guy. Not because I'm a better closer, not because my leads are stronger, not because of whatever, but simply because it's a numbers game. I have more leads. I'm going to work them to the max. He has less leads. He's maybe also going to work them to the max. But at the end of the day, I just have more leads. So there's more chances of me closing. Same goes for guys who have high body counts. The number one secret, if you're a guy and you want to have a high body count, you have to be brave, you have to have balls, and you have to approach as many women as possible. The more women you approach, the higher success rate you're going to have. Of course, there's other factors that come into play. If there's guy number one, and guy number two, and guy number one is better looking, he has more money, he has more swag, he has more game, he has more fame, more status, and guy number two doesn't, and they both approach the same number of girls, of course, by default, logically and rationally, of course, guy number one will have a higher closing rate than guy number two. That's pure logic. But let me give you another scenario. Let's say there's guy number one, same guy, right? Very good looking, very smart, very competent, very rich, very, very high status, social status, very famous, whatever. And you have guy number two who's average looking, average salary, average social status, average in everything, but guy number one approaches 5 girls and guy number two approaches 100 girls. Guy number two is going to have a better closing rate than guy number one. Not because he's a better closer, not because he's a higher value male, but simply because it's a numbers game. He approached more women than guy number one, so he's going to have a higher closing rate than guy number one. If guy number one has everything that a man wishes to have, has everything that a woman find attractive in a man, but he doesn't approach women, of course, he's probably going to have some women approach him. First of all, girls, don't get mad at me, but 99% of women who approach guys aren't the best looking women, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm just gonna say it how it is. In general, women who approach men, in general, women who approach men in general aren't necessarily the best looking women. In general, of course. So, of course, guy number one who has everything that a girl might like, he can still have girls approaching him. But first of all, it's not going to be as much as how many a guy can approach, because girls are never going to make the first step in general, and they're never going to be as aggressive, I can say, when it comes to approaching women, and they're never going to be more like as how can I say this, man? As voluntarily wanting and willing to sleep with guys as a guy wants to sleep with women. It's a different level, right? That's normal. So at the end of the day, it's all a numbers game. But of course, there's other things that come into play. Like, let's say when it comes to selling cars, right? Let's say there's salesperson number one, salesperson number two. Salesperson number one is a way better salesperson, way more skilled than salesperson number two. If they both have 10 leads and they both meet 10 potential buyers, there's higher chances of salesperson number one closing more deals because he's a better salesperson. Of course, that's logical. But let's say there's salesperson number one who's a way better closer and has way better sales skills than sales guy number two, but he's lazy. He doesn't follow up on his leads. He doesn't go and take walk-ins. He just doesn't care. He only sees 2 people per week. And sales guy number two, who isn't as good, but he's way more ambitious and way more motivated, and he meets 20 clients. Maybe percentage-wise, this guy's going to have a better rate of success percentage-wise, but this guy's going to have higher volume. He's going to make more money because he's going to have higher volume, and he's going to close more deals, right? That's what it is. So he can maybe see 2 people, but he's better, so he's going to close both of them, so it's 100% success rate. But this guy's going to see maybe 20, close only 6 because he's not that good. But hey, he still closed 6 and you only 2. So technically, he closed more than you. Of course, his success rate and his closing rate is less good than yours, but he closed more. He has more volume than you. Same goes for women, right? Let's say there's guy number one who's like has everything more than the other guy that women find attractive in a man. Maybe he's only going to approach 5 women, but out of those 5 women, he's going to close 3. So that's what 60% closing rate. And this guy's going to approach 50 and close 10. And that's what 20% closing rate. So of course his closing rate is less good than this guy. But volume wise, it's still a higher number, and it's still more volume than guy number one. And like I said, this is a message for guys who want a high body count. So as much volume as possible. Do like guy number two. And of course, if you can be guy number one and do the same actions as guy number two, then you're going to fucking have crazy success. Okay, so guys, recently the comedian Druski, I just want to say he's hilarious. Recently he did a whiteface, right? He did a Erica Kirk whiteface skit. And of course, many people had their opinions when it came to his skit. In my opinion, I just find it funny as hell. Like, I don't give a fuck that he did whiteface. I don't give a fuck. Like, who really gives a shit? I don't. I just find him funny as hell. And the skit he did was just funny as fuck. It's as simple as that, so I'm all for it. In my opinion, people nowadays are way too sensitive when it comes to comedy. That's why also comedy movies right now are shit, because people are way too sensitive and you can't fucking make jokes regarding anything without anyone getting offended. And that's where comedy goes shit. Because in order to be funny, you have to risk offending people. It is what it is. Because in order to be funny, there has to be some truth to it. And it's normally, when we say truth, it's not a truth that we want to hear, but it remains the truth. So in order to be funny, you have to risk offending people, because in order for something to be funny, there has to be some truth to it. So I'm all for Druski's skit. I fucking loved it. I found it hilarious as fuck. Druski is fucking hilarious. And I hate that people are so sensitive nowadays when it comes to comedy and when it comes to simply making jokes. Like the number of jokes I made in front of a camera as a podcaster, those were jokes, but so many people got riled up and offended. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. In my opinion, this is my opinion, people who got offended, not for, let's say, only my jokes, but for jokes that, let's say, Andrew Tate made, if they remain jokes, when I'm pretty sure they are, or that Druski did, or that any other comedian did, which is a bit more risky, a bit more risque, man up, grow a pair of balls, and stop being so fucking sensitive. So people took it to the internet to say their opinions. So Erica Kirk was really pissed off regarding what Druski did. And she said, at Elon Musk, take this down. I am not exaggerating when I say this. When I say this man has now racked up over 150 million views, humiliating me, mocking me, and turning me into a global joke while your platform just lets it spread. This is disgusting, defamatory, and degrading. Remove it. Don't remove it. Like it or not, when you put yourself out in the public eye as a public figure, either a speaker, a podcaster, an artist, whatever, when you become a public figure, you have to be ready for public criticism. If you're not ready for public criticism, don't become a public figure, or at least don't aspire to be a public figure, because if you're not ready to receive public criticism, don't go in front of the public eye. It's not made for you, if that's the case. Erica Kirk, when her husband, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, I fucking loved him. When his husband died, no one forced her to go out in the public eye and to become a public figure. She wanted to become a public figure and to go out in the public eye. Maybe she did it before. I don't know. I never heard of Erica Kirk ever since before Charlie Kirk died. The first time I heard of Erica Kirk is after Charlie Kirk died. So maybe before also she was. I don't know. But no one, even let's say even if before she was, even then, no one forced her to become a public figure and to go in front of the public eye to speak her mind and to speak her thoughts. No one forced her. Charlie Kirk did it. He became a public figure because he aspired to be one. But at the same time, whenever people made fun of him, he didn't give a fuck because he understands it's part of the game. When you become a public figure, you have to be ready for public criticism. There's an episode on South Park once where they made fun of Charlie Kirk. You know what Charlie Kirk did? He screenshotted the episode where there's a Charlie Kirk impersonator, where the Charlie Kirk character, he took that picture and he put it as his profile picture on Instagram. Now that's a fucking boss move. That's how you do it. When people make fun of you as a public figure in the public eye, you just shouldn't give a fuck. You just find it funny, or do like Charlie Kirk did. Embody it and embrace it. And then that loses power over you. It doesn't gain power. It loses the power that the person intended to have over you by making fun of you with jokes and by mocking you. That's what happens. So the way Charlie Kirk did it, that's how it's done. But Erica Kirk, instead of getting mad, you should have said, oh my God, this is so true. Ha 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 ha. Imagine how powerless people would feel against you if even when they insult you, they cannot get to your emotions and they cannot get to your feelings. That is when you are the most powerful. When people insult you, instead of getting defensive, what you should do is either not give a fuck and just not reply, just remain silent, or you jump in on it. Let's say someone says, you're fat, right? You say, yes, I'm fat as hell. I fucking love being fat. I love eating. I love being fat. It's fucking phenomenal. Imagine you respond that way when someone tells you you're fat, if that's the case, right? Imagine how powerless that person feels who wanted to insult you and degrade you because he or she realized that what he or she said, isn't causing you any trouble, isn't giving you hardships when it comes to sleeping. You just don't give a fuck. And you even have the peace of mind to make fun of it yourself because you just don't give a fuck. That's when you're the most powerful. When you're capable of allowing yourself to be vulnerable, that's what it means. That's what Eminem did in his rap battles. That's why Eminem was a king of rap battling, and that's why he won. It's because he wasn't afraid to be vulnerable. Like in the movie 8 Mile, at the end of the movie where he fucking destroyed everyone, the reason he won is because in the beginning of every rap, he said, yes, I'm poor. Yes, I'm a white trash. Yes, I still live at home with my mom, but who gives a fuck? He admitted it, he embodied it, and he accepted it, and he shared it with the world. Once he accepted it, how can you insult him when he's like, well, yes, I am? You can tell him, oh, well, you're a white trash. Well, yeah, I just said I am. Of course I am. I'm a white trash. So people become powerless against you when you're capable of accepting your flaws and when you're capable of allowing yourself to be vulnerable. That is when you are the most powerful. That's what it means. So if Erica Kirk, the fact that she defended herself to what Druski did, it made her even less powerful and even more powerless. If she would have embodied it or simply find it funny or simply not even reacted, if she, like, in my opinion, the best way to do it is just not even react. Like, shouldn't even just give a fuck. Like, you're a public figure. Of course, people are going to make fun of you. Like, I remember Donald Trump, the first term he did, Family Guy, which is probably like the biggest cartoon on planet fucking Earth, they made an entire episode making fun of Donald Trump. They put like an orange face, like his face was really, really orange. They gave him like weird lips, like Botox lips with a fucking stupid haircut with small hands, because you know how Donald Trump was always insecure about the size of his hands. Something that Donald Trump always, I don't know, but it's a fact. He's always been insecure about the size of his hands. So Family Guy even gave him really small hands. They made him fat as fuck. And Donald Trump didn't even respond. He just didn't give a fuck. That's the best way to do it. Because when you're a public figure, the more famous you are and the more status you have, the more people are going to make fun of you. And the more haters you're going to have. And the more there's going to be people who want to bring you down and degrade you. But the best thing to do, in my opinion, is just ignore it. That's why Joe Rogan said that the best way to use social media as a content creator is to post and ghost. You post and you don't give a fuck what people comment or what they say or what they think about you. Don't give a fuck. But if you want to comment or if you want to respond and you want to remain powerful, the best way to do it is to respond not by defending yourself and not in a defensive way, but in a careless way. Just Erica Kirk. Imagine if Erica Kirk would have said, oh my God, haha, so funny, that's so me. Imagine how powerless people would have felt, people who hate Erica Kirk, because I don't feel like Druski hates her. I feel like Druski simply did it because that's what he does. That's what he does. He's a comedian and he simply found a skit that is funny. So that's why he did it. But some people use it because they hate Erica Kirk and they're like happy and they want to use it against her. But if Erica Kirk would have responded, first of all, she simply should have not even responded. But if she felt like the need to respond, she simply should have said, oh my God, haha, that's so me. Laugh out loud. Imagine how powerful she would have been and how powerless her haters and people who hate her would have felt like. Really powerless. And then Elon Musk responded to her tweet and he said, the video has 150 million views because people want to watch it. X supports free speech, comedy, parody, and content people choose to engage with. We are not removing lawful content just because it offends someone. This is not how this platform works. Elon Musk is a fucking goat. How can you not love Elon Musk? How can you not love and respect him? He's highly intelligent. He completely understands what free speech is, what democracy is, and what liberty is, and what freedom is. He understands it to the maximum extent, to the max extent. Just because you find something offensive doesn't mean you're right. Ricky Gervais said it first, and now Elon Musk said it again. Let me read his tweet once again. The video has 150 million views because people want to watch it. X supports free speech, comedy, parody, and content people choose to engage with. We are not removing lawful content. Lawful content. With this video, Druski didn't break any American laws. Not a single one. So why would you remove it if he didn't break a law? Just because you find it offensive, just because you find the video offensive, doesn't mean you're right. And you're not right. Thank you, Elon Musk, for saying that you're not removing lawful content just because it offends someone. Who gives a fuck? If the content is lawful, if it doesn't break any rules, and it's simply you expressing yourself through comedy, through speech, free speech, parody, whatever, if it's lawful and it's not breaking any laws, it shouldn't get removed, and no content should ever get removed if it's lawful. Matt Rife even had his opinion regarding it. He said, the Druski skit situation is funny to me. The skit is hilarious. I agree. People being offended need to grow up. Thank you. If you're offended over a fucking skit that a guy did on Instagram and TikTok, you need to grow up. And then he went on to say, but everyone defending this skit also needs to keep the same energy about all comedy. Thank you. If you're going to defend this skit, it has to go for all comedy, not simply for, oh my God, it's a black guy who did whiteface, who cares? Oh my God, haha, I hate white people, whatever it may be. If you're all for this type of comedy, it goes both ways. When people make fun of whatever else, it goes both ways. And that's what the beauty of comedy is us being able to make fun of whatever and whoever without getting offended and without getting all political and whatever. Simply for laughs, just for laughs. Don't go crying next time a bit upsets you personally. If jokes shake you to your soul so deeply, consider that you may be emotionally underdeveloped human, not fit for this life. The world needs comedy. Thank you. I couldn't have said it any better. Thank you, Matt Rife, because that's what it is. If there's a piece of content, comedy content, that you find offensive, then you need to grow up. If someone was to do a piece of content, of comedy against me, personally, if it's funny, I'll find it funny, I'll laugh. If it's not funny, then I'll just say, well, it's not funny, I'm sorry, but it's just not funny. But never would I get offended. Actually, I'd be like happy, because I'd be like, yo, people took the time to make fun of me. They took time out of their days to make fun of me. So yeah, I'm actually doing something good. I'm actually doing good work right now. But my point is that no matter what people can say as a joke, if you find it offensive, you just need to grow up. But he also said that if you find the Druski skit funny because it doesn't offend you, because you're not Erica Kirk and you're not that type of woman, well, then when another comedian does a skit that maybe there is more in direction and directs more towards the type of person that you are, the things that maybe you do, well, then you shouldn't get offended. Why? Because it's all comedy. It goes both ways. If you don't get offended for the Druski skit, but then it goes for all types of comedy. All types of comedy. It remains an art form. It remains comedy. It's simply speaking words. And as long as it's lawful and not illegal, I'm all for comedy. And that's what makes comedy so funny, is when it offends people and when it is offensive and when there is the truth. When the truth is there and when it is offensive, that's when it's funny as hell. That's why Family Guy was funny as hell, because whenever they made a satire joke, there was some truth to it, and like it or not, they risked offending people. That's a fact. And they made fun of everyone. They made fun of Eastern Europeans, of white people, black people, Arab people, Asians, women, men, paraplegics. They make fun of everyone. That's what comedy is. That's the beauty of comedy, is people being able to make fun of anyone because it's funny, because we know that there is some truth to it, and you not getting offended. Even when it's against your group, against the LGBTQ community, against whatever, it's a fucking joke. Don't get so emotional, and don't get so fucking like offended over it. So, yes, okay. So talking about Elon Musk, because he responded. Elon Musk, I understand people who say that he's maybe autistic or socially awkward. I understand where they're coming from. He is maybe a bit socially awkward, but let's not forget that he's a fucking tech genius. Like, he's a fucking genius on planet Earth. He's probably the biggest genius that we have right now on planet Earth. But when it comes to being rational, logical, and having political opinions, in my mind, he's hyper intelligent and hyper logical and rational. When he wants to be like cool, sometimes like when he started his own podcast, or sometimes like when he did like the people thought it was a Nazi salute, but it was like the Roman salute. When he did that, and it's because he wants to be cool, but he's not the cool personality. So when he wants to be cool, it's just like awkward. I agree. Like when Elon Musk tries to be cool, it's not cool. It's just awkward, right? It's a fact. So when it comes to that, he's a bit socially weird. But when it comes to things that are more serious, like politics, like economy, like being intelligent, like being logical and rational, he's hyper intelligent and hyper logical and rational. I understand people hating him because they don't agree with his political beliefs. Although that everything he said, in my opinion, from my perspective, everything that Elon Musk said when it comes to politics, when it comes to society, when it comes to human society, human sciences, he's 100% correct, man. I agree with everything he says politically. Like I said, he is a bit socially awkward when he wants to be like cool, quote unquote. Okay, so them doing whiteface. Like, personally, if a white guy was to do blackface, I wouldn't get offended. Like, I mean, of course, I'm not black, but I also I wouldn't care. And maybe black people are going to care, but at the same time, like, I don't understand why they would care, because let's say I see a black person do whiteface. I'm like Druski did, like, I simply don't give a fuck, man. Like, I just don't give a fuck. Like, live your life, bro. You want to do whiteface? Sure, have fun. So I feel like, I don't know, like, why some black people would get offended if a white guy does blackface. Maybe because of historical context. I understand there's historical context. But even then, I mean, this is going to be a big if. Even if I was black, of course, that's a big if. I don't have the same experience and the same backstory of a black person. I'm never going to, because I'm white. But I feel like even if I was black, I still wouldn't give a fuck if a white person did blackface. Why would I give a fuck? Let's say a black person does Serbian face. I don't know if you can fucking do Serbian face. Maybe that's like an ugly face or whatever. Even if a black guy was to make fun of Serbians, I still wouldn't give a fuck, man. Like, I don't know. I just wouldn't care. No, of course, maybe I would look for content for, maybe there's something I can talk about on my podcast. Well, if it's a skit and if it's comedy and if it's a joke, then I'm just going to let it happen, because I'm like, it's comedy. It is what it is. Who gives a fuck? If it's funny, it's funny. If it's not, well, it's simply not. Maybe I would look for content, like if it's something more like a political belief or something more serious. But if it's simply for a comedic skit or for a comedy movie or whatever, like let's say Robert Downey Jr., who did blackface on Tropic Thunder. That's just funny as hell. Like, it's a movie. Like, don't get so offended. And I feel like people who get offended, they're just too weak, mentally weak, and they're too sensitive. Because it's a movie. It was funny as fuck. And if you don't find it funny, if you don't find that movie funny, well, then simply don't watch it. That's what I don't understand. I follow Druski because I find Druski funny. I watch the movie Tropic Thunder because I find the movie Tropic Thunder hilarious. If you don't find the movie Tropic Thunder hilarious, no one's forcing you to watch it. If you don't find Druski funny, no one's forcing you to consume his content or to follow him on social media platforms. No one is forcing you. Literally, no one. Just as much as if I don't find a film funny, or if I don't find a comedian funny, I'm not gonna follow him. I'm not gonna consume his content because I don't find his content funny. At the top of my head, I cannot name a comedian that I don't find funny. Maybe Bert Kreischer, I don't find him that funny. So like I watch his content a bit. I'm not really gonna follow him and go see his show, pay for his tickets or whatever, because I simply don't find him funny. So no one forces me to watch his content and to consume his content and to follow him. Simple as that. You don't find the movie Tropic Thunder funny, simply don't watch it. You don't find Druski funny, don't consume his content, don't follow him, whatever. You don't find Kevin Hart funny, don't watch him, don't consume his content, don't follow him. Same goes for Matt Rife or any other comedian. You don't find a podcaster interesting, you don't agree with his takes, don't listen to him, don't follow him, whatever. You don't have to want to cancel him because you don't agree with him. We're allowed to have different opinions, and we all have different opinions regarding different topics because we're all different human beings, and we live in a democratic and free country where freedom of speech exists and where we're allowed to express ourselves lawfully and to express ourselves without the fear of getting canceled and without the fear of getting prosecuted and to go in jail. So we have that right. So if you don't agree with someone's art or whatever, no one's forcing you to consume it. You live in a free country. You're allowed to consume the music you want to consume. You're allowed to listen to the podcast you want to listen to. You're allowed to watch the movies you want to watch. You're allowed to consume whichever and whatever art form you wish to consume. Okay. Okay. Let me hit you with some beautiful quotes. First one from Gary Vaynerchuk. I just want to say, Gary Vee, man, in my opinion, I think he's the greatest social media personality that we have currently on planet Earth because he's real, he's down to earth, and he's all about being real and raw and not faking shit and simply saying it how it is, all while being highly compassionate and a highly nice and competent individual. He's highly nice, highly generous, very, how can I say this, emotionally intelligent, very compassionate, but at the same time, he's highly competent, very driven, works really hard, and he makes a lot of fucking money. He's really successful. He's like a multimillionaire. And he said, be your own biggest fan instead of critiquing every move you make. If you're not going to be your own biggest fan, no one else is going to do for it. If you want to hate on your own self, you already have the entire world hating on you. You already have many people not believing in you. The last thing you need is you not believing in yourself. That's the last thing you don't need. You should be your own best friend. Because if you're not going to be your own best friend, no one else is going to be it for you. And if you're not going to be your own best friend, you're probably going to be your own worst enemy. And if you are your own worst enemy, your life is going to be a shit show and you're going to have a really, really sad and painful life. So always, no matter who you are, no matter what you do, no matter what you did in the past, instead of always critiquing every single move you make, I understand and we all do it. It's just human nature to critique every single little mistake that we make. Instead of critiquing everything, be your own biggest fan and always motivate yourself to go out there and try again, learn, and become better. Always. Next topic. Again, Gary Vee. And he said, not everyone needs to start a business or be an entrepreneur. I have watched so many great number 2s, number 10s start and fail trying to be founder, CEO, and miss out on happiness, financial success, and peace of mind. All for an ideology. Self-awareness leads to happiness. Be proud of whatever your natural skills are, and I hope this helps someone make a decision. I've always had this opinion. Entrepreneurship is like this glorified word, especially with social media. And I understand you're your own boss. And then, of course, when we look at entrepreneurship, we only look at the top 1% of entrepreneurs who are making millions of dollars while traveling the world and not having a boss. But that's not the reality of being an entrepreneur. The reality of being an entrepreneur for 99% of entrepreneurs is working 7 days a week, having way more problems, having way more stress, and having it way harder. Not everyone is made out to be an entrepreneur, and simply being an entrepreneur doesn't necessarily mean that you have a better job or a better lifestyle than someone who has a 9-to-5. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have your own pizza shop, your own pizza place. You're an entrepreneur. You have no boss. You work the hours you want to work, but you remain a pizza shop owner. So let's say you make like $80,000 a year, which is good. You are your own boss. You make $80,000 a year, but you are working like 6-7 days a week. You are busting your ass and you have way more stress. And then let's say someone who works at the government and he's been there for like 20 years. He works 40 hours a week, has way less stress, and doesn't do overtime, simply works 40 hours a week, does his job correctly, and then goes at home, has way more free time and way less stress, and he can be making $140,000, $150,000 a year. So who has a better life? Of course, if this person who has a pizza shop, if he's passionate about making pizza and about having a pizzeria and making food, then of course he's chasing his passion. He's pursuing his passion and doing his passion. Then of course he is a winner because it's not all about money. I agree. But if they're both doing it simply for money, then the guy with a 9-to-5 and with a boss and who isn't an entrepreneur, he's more of a winner because he's making more money per year and he's having way less stress and he's working way less hours. That's an example. Now, of course, there are some people who are made out to be entrepreneurs because they want to create something. They are very creative and they have high ambitions and they are very passionate at a certain thing. So of course they are winners by being entrepreneurs and pursuing their passion and their dreams, and then them becoming really, really good at it. They're going to make millions and millions of dollars being their own boss. Of course, they're going to be working like 80 hours a week, but it's for their passion. So it is working, but it's not really working because it's you doing your passion and plus you're making fucking millions of dollars. So there are, of course, my point is just simply being an entrepreneur isn't always better than having a 9-to-5. But of course, I understand also the beauty and the possibility of what being an entrepreneur and being your own boss can bring you. Next quote, this is from Joel Osteen. Amazing person, probably the best preacher we have in the world. I listen to him a lot, a Protestant preacher in Houston. And he said, when you face difficult times, know that challenges are not sent to destroy you. They're sent to promote, increase, and strengthen you. Once you realize this, whenever you're going to have a problem and whenever you're going to face a problem in your life, you're going to be so thankful. You're going to look in the sky and say, thank you, God, for blessing me with a problem because I'm going to become better, more competent, and more strong and ready for my end destiny. But people in general, whenever they face a problem, they see it as something that is negative. But the reality of things is whenever you have a problem, it's an opportunity for you to grow, to become more competent, and to become a better human being and to become a better version of yourself. So technically, if you look at it this way, rationally, whenever we face a problem, we should be thanking God that He sent problems our way because every problem is an opportunity in disguise to grow and to become better. That's a fact. Next topic, Alex Hormozi, and he said, do more hard things every day is a great mantra, but it should be less about ice baths and more about making that decision you've been putting off for 3 months. That's true. I'm all for biohacking if it's not crazy. Of course, going to the gym is really good, fasting, taking ice baths. But if doing more hard things every day is a mantra and you're simply doing things that you're comfortable of doing, a ice bath, going to the gym, and not facing the thing that you've been putting off for months. And we all know, we all have a dream. Maybe not everyone. Some people are actually chasing their dream to the full extent. But most of you guys, deep down, you know what you want to do. There's something stopping you. Maybe it's fear of judgment, fear of what others might think, fear of failing, fear of losing, fear of facing rejection, fear of never succeeding. Maybe it's one of those. Deep down, you all know what you want out of life. You all know what your dream is. You all know what you want to pursue, but there's something stopping you. Face it and just do it. That is what do more hard things every day. That's the type of mantra that it should be for you. Not simply taking more ice baths like Alex Hormozi said, or hitting the gym once more because it's something hard. Yes, that's good. But there is something that you're deep down, you're not facing, you're not doing because you have fear maybe of rejection, of what others might think, and of just simply failing and not succeeding. Talking about doing things that you want to do, but you're not doing it, let me just remind you of one thing. Memento Mori, which means remember your death in Latin. One day you will die. I don't care who you are. I don't care what type of life you have. I don't care who your parents are, how successful your parents are, how successful you are, how smart you are, whatever. One day you will die. It may be scary, but it's also freeing. Meaning, if you understand that one day you're going to die, you're going to live your life to the full extent because you're going to have a sense of urgency because you're going to be like, yo, one day I'm going to die. And what's the point of living a life that I don't want to live because fear of what others might think. And then at the end of the day, I'm going to be 80 years old and you're going to realize that actually no one really gave a fuck about you and that actually shouldn't really care what other people think. But then it's going to be too late and then you're going to die. When you realize one day that you are going to die and death smiles upon all of us and the only thing we can do is smile back, like the famous quote goes, you will realize and you will have this sense of urgency to accomplish everything you want to accomplish, chase all of your dreams relentlessly and fearlessly. So of course, the quote, Memento Mori, the saying, can be scary, but it can also be really, really freeing in order for you to go and accomplish whatever you want to accomplish and live the life that you want to live and not what the other people want you to live, but simply live how you want to live your own life because that's your fucking life. So you're going to live it how you want to live it. I feel like many people do this. They give up when people start hating on them, on their art and on things that they're trying to accomplish. But that's actually a sign of success and a sign of productivity. Because if you're doing something and you don't have haters, that means that you're not doing it correctly and there's nothing to hate on because there's nothing to be jealous of. That's what it means. So giving up when people hate on you or don't believe in you is the worst moment to quit. The more haters you have, the more people hate on you, the better you are and the better you're doing in life and the more success you're having. Because people don't hate on people who have less than them. People hate on people who have more than them. That's a fact of life, always has been and always will be. So you should fear not having haters and not having haters, if that made sense. You should fear not having haters and you should not fear having haters. Having haters is beautiful. It means that you're doing well in life and that many people are jealous of you and many people envy you. That's what it means. But when you don't have any haters, it means that no one envies your life and you're not really necessarily doing something good in life. That's what it means. So you should pray to God to have as many haters as possible because the more haters you have equals the more success you have and the more beautiful lifestyle you have. That's what it equates to. In my opinion, life is simple and can be seen as something really simple. We tend to complicate it because human beings are really complicated. We're really emotional. We're really emotional beings. So we tend to complicate things that are really fucking simple. I heard Alex Hormozy say it and I agree with it. Life is all about finding what your purpose is, finding what your passion is, and doing it for the rest of your life. Simple as that. You have one life, and what's the point of living life not chasing your passion and not doing the things that you're passionate about? It can be many things, going to the gym, doing this, doing that. It can be many things, but your life should be all about chasing your passions and doing what you're passionate about. And believe me, no matter what, maybe your passion in the beginning won't bring you any money and won't bring you any financial success, which is normal, right? Which is normal. But at the end of the day, the more you do your passion, the more you chase your passion, the better you're going to become at it. And then one day, eventually, it will allow you to make money and you will be able to live off of it. There's many people who live their dreams and who are making money by doing their passion. Many people. All the soccer players, all the singers, all the whatever, movie stars, all the biggest business people. If they can do it, so can you. They're not special. Neither are you. We're all human beings. We all have strengths and weaknesses. We're all imperfect. We're all humans. If they can accomplish something, so can you. We can all accomplish our passions. And there's a reason why we all have different passions, because we all have different strengths and weaknesses. And when you do your passion relentlessly and you never give up and you do it because you're truly passionate about it, the more you do it, the better you'll become. And by becoming better, well, then one day when you bring value to the table, money comes your way, money flows your way. The world is run by confident people who are doers and who take action on a constant basis, not by perfectionists. I know many people, I was one of those persons before. Well, do you feel like you need to be perfect before starting the things that you want to start? So you put your side hustles to the side, you put your ambition to the side, you put your projects to the side because you're waiting to be perfect or you're waiting for the perfect moment. You'll never be perfect and the perfect moment will never arrive. Start now, start today, whatever it may be. I heard many of my friends who wanted to start doing, I had one of my friends who wanted to start doing vlogging on YouTube, right? He never started. And it's been 3 years now that he's been telling me, yeah, I'm waiting for to be better. I'm waiting to have a better camera. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for Monday to come. I'm waiting for whatever. At the end of the day, it's been 3 years and he didn't do anything. Of course, I don't actually have a friend, but that's just an example so that you guys understand what I'm trying to say. If there's a guy like that, and we all know guys like that, or we've heard of people like that, they're putting something to the side that they actually want to do because they want to be perfect before starting it. You're never going to be perfect. And people who are perfectionists, they're simply people who are afraid to simply do what needs to get done. They're afraid. So that's why they're waiting to be perfect before they start it off. You're never going to be perfect. So if you wait until you're perfect, you're going to wait your entire life because your entire life, you're never going to be perfect. So you're never going to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And the people who accomplish what they want to accomplish are people who are confident and who take action on a constant daily basis. People who aren't afraid to look imperfect, who aren't afraid to just start, who have the balls to start, and they understand that they're not perfect and they'll never be perfect, but they still take action on a constant daily basis and they just keep going forward and they never give up. Those are the people who run this world, and those are the people who achieve all of their wildest dreams and who succeed on the highest echelon of human excellency. Okay, so recently, guys, I watched the episode of Joe Rogan with Pierre Poilievre. Really interesting episode, honestly, really, really good episode. And then there's this one topic that I want to address. This is the last topic I'll address for this episode, but I have to address it. And it's regarding Canada's assisted suicide program. I never really thought about it before. I heard it a little bit here and there, but I never really dived deep into it until I watched the episode of Joe Rogan with Pierre Poilievre. And when I heard them talk about it, in my opinion, assisted suicide should never exist. It should never be legal. It should never be legal. And the only case where assisted suicide should be legal is if someone becomes a vegetable, can't move, can't talk, can't have sex, can't do anything anymore, then he should have the right to say, you know what, fuck, I can't do anything anymore. I'm just going to lay in a bed for the rest of my life. I can't even speak. I can't do anything. Take my life. That I can understand. But there's a case that Joe Rogan said once that there's a guy or a teenager even who was having seasonal depression, and he decided to take assisted suicide, and the process was that he completed the assisted suicide program. Do you understand how fucked up that is? Someone had seasonal depression, and because of how Canadian laws are, you're allowed to take assisted suicide program, and that person who was a teenager was allowed to commit suicide. Do you understand how fucked up that is? Like I said, that program should never fucking exist. Only for rare cases like the one I just described in the beginning. Someone who's paraplegic, can't move, can't talk, can't do anything. He's laying in a bed and it's basically like he's dead, but he isn't. Then he should have the right. Or if let's say someone has like terminal 4-stage cancer and he knows, it's a known fact that he's going to die in like 1 month or 2 months. And the reason, and of course, even then it's better to live those 1 month or 2 months because, hey, it's still 1 month more and 2 months more. But if he's in excruciating pain, and because of that pain, he can't have a normal life, see his family members, go on walks, talk, whatever, he's in such excruciating pain, then even then I feel like they should seek a psychologist first, maybe 2 or 3 psychologists, and then those professionals should either say, okay, he's allowed to take that decision, or he's not allowed to. I feel like the Canada's assisted suicide program should be way more, how can I say this, severe and way harder to get than what it is currently. A teenager who had seasonal depression had the right to take Canada's assisted suicide program. Do you understand how fucked up that is? I understand having the freedom and the liberty to live life however you want, but this is just fucking crazy, man. This is just crazy. Although I understand people will say, well, if he's not going to take assisted suicide, he's just going to kill himself by himself. Yes, there's also that. But like it or not, we cannot prevent suicide to 100%. It's impossible. People can do it themselves. But by eliminating Canada's assisted suicide, if we can save 1 or 2 lives, it's better than nothing. And I'm pretty sure that if we take that out, we're going to save many more lives than just 1 or 2. So that was it, guys, for this episode. Peace out.